So I've been teaching music lessons for about 10 years now, and I teach all ages. And something interesting I notice is when kids make a mistake, they might get frustrated for a little bit, but for the most part, they're open to learning and they keep going. When I teach adults, I often hear a lot of shame, negative self-talk, and self-critical comments. And also lots of shoulding, like I should be able to play this by now, and even apologizing and saying, I'm sorry that I keep messing up. Adults are so much harder on themselves than kids are. And I've never met a kid who hated drawing, hated arts and crafts, hated messing around with musical instruments. But many adults tend to immediately go to, oh, I can't do that, I can't draw, I'm not creative. And I think this tendency for adults to be more self-critical can be attributed to something called the creativity wound. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. My name is Leela from Uku-Lela Therapy. I'm a music therapist and mental health counselor, and I use music and expressive arts in fun, creative, and research-based ways to help with things like mental health issues, wellness, and self-development. I apologize if I look like a robot. I pulled a muscle on my neck turning over in my sleep because apparently that's the age I'm at now. So I believe most of us are born creative, open, expressive, and then a lot of the time, somewhere down the road, something happens, or some things happen, to make us more cautious and held back, which can be a healthy thing. We need to learn to adapt to society in a healthy way, but sometimes it's not as helpful. It can cause us to close off to the world and not be as vulnerable and not be as expressive. And often this happens with creative and artistic pursuits. Some examples of this include a music teacher telling you to just mouth the words in the school performance because you can't sing, a parent criticizing or even not acknowledging a child excitedly showing their artwork, or a drama teacher telling you to find another club to join because you can't act. So why does this hurt so much, and why does it affect so many people? Art is a way of expression. It's vulnerable. It's personal. When we're vulnerable and personal, it can really hurt when our work is criticized. When someone criticizes your artistic work, it can feel like they're criticizing you, because it can often feel like it's a part of you. And I think kids feel this way when a kid is excited about something and they want to show their parent or teacher and they're really proud of it. It can be really hurtful to hear a critical comment or to be shut down. This wound can occur with parents, teachers, or even peers. Brené Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, says one reason that I'm confident that shame exists in schools is simply because 85% of the men and women we interviewed for this shame research could recall a school incident from their childhood that was so shaming that it changed how they thought of themselves as learners. What makes this even more haunting is that approximately half of those recollections were what I refer to as creativity scars. The research participants could point to a specific incident where they were told or shown that they weren't good writers, artists, musicians, dancers, or something creative. And if you don't know who Brené Brown is, you might be living under a rock, but no judgment. She does research on shame, and it's very interesting, so if you want to check out more of her videos and books, I will link them in the description. So how do you heal the creativity wound? First, determine the source and rewrite the story. In an article by Anne R. Allen, she talks about how her parents treated her 8-year-old work like they would an 18-year-old's work. They would critique it and tell her what was wrong. So think about what that 8-year-old actually needed to hear right then. They're not an 18-year-old, so of course their work isn't going to be amazing. So something that can help you rewrite the story is to go back to an age you were when something like this happened and tell yourself what is really going on. If you were 8, you could say, of course your work isn't amazing. You weren't in college working towards a career and becoming an artist. And if an adult said something to make you feel that way, that's not your fault. There's a difference between critiquing and helping you learn and criticizing. I do believe much of the time adults have good intentions, but maybe they just don't have the right phrasing and language to express their critiques or concerns to a child. And also children can easily misinterpret or misunderstand what an adult is saying. If you were doing everything perfectly and you had amazing, perfect artwork, what would be the point of even learning? What would be the point of practicing that skill? So that leads me to the next point of how to heal the creativity wound, is to learn to reframe what a mistake is. A mistake is proof that you're learning. And I tell my students this all the time when they get frustrated and they're making mistakes. I say, why are you even here if you're going to play everything perfect? Why even practice at all? Don't expect perfection. Learn to embrace your mistakes. The next way you can start healing your creativity wound is to reframe how you talk to yourself. What we tell ourselves become our truth. So if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm not an artist, I'm not creative, then that's going to be the truth for you. Just ask yourself, what if you were creative? And what if these are skills that you can practice and grow? The last tip for healing your creativity wound is just practice. Do creative things, start painting, start lessons on that instrument you've always wanted to learn. Practice making mistakes and being okay with it. Practice talking to yourself in a more helpful, positive way. Practice reframing who you are as a creative person. The way I see it, everyone's creative. Everyone has this creative part to them. In some people, it's nurtured and they learn to grow confident in it. In some people, it's shut down and they learn to shut it down themselves. By saying things like, I'm not creative and I can't do it, that acts as a defense. It is helping you not experience that pain again. Because if you were to admit to yourself, I am creative and I am artistic, it would open you up to criticism from others or even yourself. And that would hurt. And that is possible. But the difference is now you have the tools to manage this criticism, and it's something that you can work on and reframe. You define what type of person you are, not other people. If you enjoy content like this, I post videos on mental health, music therapy, wellness, self-development, things like that every Friday. Please subscribe and you can stay tuned for my next video. I hope you have an amazing day and hope to see you soon. Bye.